Not tonight, Charles, she said. I have a headache. My name is Charles, and I am 34 years old. I work as a shift supervisor at Halbert Design, a manufacturing company based in Phoenix, Arizona. For 3 months straight, my wife Emily kept repeating those exact words. 3 months filled with rejection, sudden migraines, and endless excuses to rest in the guest room. I stood quietly in our bedroom doorway, watching her brush her hair at the vanity. She avoided meeting my gaze in the mirror. The woman I married 5 years ago used to greet me warmly when I came home from work. Now, she recoiled whenever I touched her shoulder. Emily, we have to discuss this, I said. About what? She put the brush down abruptly, her hand trembling slightly. About us. About whatever this is between us. She turned to face me, and for a moment I caught a flicker in her eyes. Fear, or maybe guilt. Yet then she gave me that practiced smile she had been wearing lately. Nothing is wrong, Charles. I am just tired from work. Emily worked as a receptionist at Glenfield Electric downtown. The same position she had held for 2 years. The same hours and routine. But now, every evening she was drained beyond measure. You've been tired for 3 months, I reminded her. I already made an appointment with Dr. Martin next week. Maybe I need vitamins or something. I nodded, though a chill settled deep in my chest. The way she said it sounded rehearsed, like she had prepared that reply well in advance. That night, I lay awake, listening to her steady breathing in the dark, wondering since when she had started sleeping away from me. How had she become so distant? When did she stop speaking in her sleep? When did my wife transform into a stranger? The following morning, I found her in the bathroom at 6 o'clock, leaning over the toilet. She did not hear me climbing the stairs. Emily? She suddenly straightened up, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. Charles, you startled me. Are you unwell? It must be something I ate last night. That Chinese food was probably spoiled, but we had both eaten the same dish. I felt perfectly fine. She brushed past me, already dressed for work. I need to leave early today. Important client meeting. In 5 years of marriage, Emily had never named a single client. Glenfield Electric was not that type of company. After she left, I stood in our kitchen, sipping coffee from the mug she gave me for our 3rd anniversary. It read, "World's Best Husband" in worn lettering. The irony did not escape me. Something was terribly wrong. Every instinct screamed it, but I needed evidence before taking action. I had no clue how dire it truly was. I met Emily at my cousin Michael's wedding 6 years ago. She was a friend of the bride, laughing at something my aunt had said. When she smiled, her entire face lit up. I knew immediately I wanted to get to know her better. Our relationship was simple. Dinner dates, weekend drives to Sedona, quiet nights watching movies. She was 26 then, working part-time while finishing her business degree. I was 29, already established at Halbert Design, ready to... Building a life together was our goal. We got married in a simple ceremony at St. Augustine Cathedral. Her parents traveled from Tucson, while my family occupied 3 entire pews. Emily wore my grandmother's pearl necklace and shed tears during our vows. The first 3 years went smoothly. With my father's lifelong construction experience guiding us, we purchased the house on Maple Street. Emily planted roses in the front yard, while I crafted a garden shed in the backyard. We often spoke about having children, not right away, but someday. Emily wanted to focus on advancing her career first, and I admired that. We thought we had plenty of time. Yet this year things changed in ways I could not explain. At first it was small matters. Emily no longer asked about my day or left notes in my lunchbox. Her working late nights increased from 2 to 3 times a week. When I suggested dinner at Romano's, our beloved Italian spot, she said she wasn't in the mood for heavy meals. Tickets I bought for the Diamondbacks were met with her recalling a work engagement. When my sister Victoria invited us for Sunday dinner, Emily suddenly had plans with her college friend Sophie. The closeness vanished slowly at first, and then all at once. She became too exhausted, too stressed, then too occupied with some vague future ambition. What goal? I asked 2 weeks ago. Just some things, Charles. You wouldn't understand. That stung deeply. In 5 years, she had never brushed me off like that before. That's when I started noticing the distance. Her attention to detail had changed. Her phone was always placed face down. Suddenly, her schedule became erratic and hard to predict. Her wardrobe grew progressively newer and far more expensive than what her income should have allowed. Last Wednesday, she returned home with the scent of cologne that was definitely not mine. When I questioned her about it, she explained that the elevator at her workplace was broken and she had to share a ride with a colleague named David. David from accounting? No, David from the warehouse. But Glenfield Electric did not have a warehouse. I knew this because I had once dropped off Emily's forgotten lunch there. The building was strictly office spaces. The lie hovered between us like a silent third presence at the dinner table. That night, she chose to sleep in the guest room, saying she did not want to disturb me with her tossing and turning. It was becoming clear that my wife had become someone I no longer recognized. The real question was who exactly she had turned into. The truth struck me one Thursday afternoon in early October. I was tidying up our filing cabinet, searching for the warranty papers for our refrigerator, when I stumbled upon a receipt. It was hidden behind our insurance documents, folded so small as if someone desperately wanted to conceal it. The receipt was from Planned Parenthood, Phoenix location, dated 6 weeks prior. My hands went numb. It was for a pregnancy test and a follow-up consultation. The results, written in delicate clinical handwriting, showed a positive outcome. 6 weeks ago corresponded exactly to the moment Emily had stopped wanting me to touch her. I sat on our bed, fixated on that small piece of paper. Suddenly, everything began to fall into place. The morning sickness she tried to... The sudden rejection of wine at dinner struck me immediately. The way she guarded her stomach when she hugged me goodbye was unusual. My wife was pregnant, yet we had not been intimate for 3 months. The arithmetic was clear and painful. Emily was carrying the child of another man. I did not shout. I did not throw anything. I simply sat still, allowing the harsh truth to sink into my very being. The woman I loved, the one I had shared my life with, had betrayed me in the most profound way possible, and she intended to present another man's baby as mine. I considered confronting her right away, demanding explanations, forcing her to admit her actions. But something held me back. Perhaps it was pride. Perhaps it was a calculated move. Or maybe I needed time to steady myself, to learn how to breathe again. So, instead, I placed the receipt back exactly where I found it. That night, Emily came home with Chinese takeout and behaved as if nothing was wrong. She even suggested we watch a movie together. "How was your day?" she asked, settling beside me on the couch. "Fine," I replied. "And yours?" "Busy. Dr. Martin wants to run some tests next week. Just routine stuff." I smiled and nodded, but inwardly I was already making plans. If Emily believed she could fool me, she was mistaken. If she thought I would raise another man's child without uncovering the truth, she was wrong about that as well. Patience had always been one of my virtues. Emily used to say it was what she admired most about me. What she admired most about me was how I carefully considered everything before taking action. She was about to discover just how patient I could really be. Over the following days, I observed her closely. The way she touched her belly when she thought I was not watching. The way she refused coffee in the mornings. The way she found excuses to steer clear of any physical closeness between us. She was buying time, waiting for the perfect moment to surprise me. I chose to let her wait, but planned to be ready with a surprise myself. The game had started, and Emily did not realize I was already 3 steps ahead. A fortnight after I found the receipt, I initiated my first step. "Emily, I have been reflecting on what you said about having a family." She raised her eyes from her plate of eggs, fork paused halfway to her mouth. We were sharing breakfast on a Saturday, which had not happened for many months. "What do you mean? Perhaps we should stop waiting and give it a try now." The color left her face. She gently placed her fork down, as if it might shatter. "Charles, I thought we agreed to postpone until I get that promotion." "What promotion?" "You never told me about any promotion." She nervously played with her napkin. "Well, it is not confirmed yet, but Mr. Johnson suggested there could be a chance for a management position soon." Another fabrication. On Friday, I called Glenfield Electric pretending to be a supplier. There was no Mr. Johnson. The entire company had 12 employees, all of whom I knew by name. "How long do you believe this will take?" "I am not sure. Perhaps half a year, maybe even more. Half a year, just about the time when her pregnancy would no longer be concealable." "I think we should start now," I urged. "We are not getting any younger." Emily suddenly stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the kitchen floor. "I must take a shower. Sophie and I plan to go shopping today." "When will you return?" "I do not know." "Late." After she left, I remained sitting in my truck in the driveway for 20 minutes, lost in thought. Then I drove to the public library on Central Avenue and accessed their computer. I looked into private detectives, divorce lawyers, and the protocols for DNA testing. Taking notes carefully, I wrote everything down on a legal pad in my neat handwriting. By the time Emily arrived home that evening, I had devised a plan. How was shopping? I inquired. Good. Sophie helped me choose some new clothes for work. She showed me a bag from Target filled with 3 loose blouses and a pair of pants with an elastic waistband. Clothes designed for maternity wear, cleverly disguised as everyday outfits. They seem nice, I commented. That night, she returned to sleep in our bed for the first time in weeks. She even allowed me to hold her, although she stiffened when I touched her belly. Charles? Yes. Do you ever think about what lies ahead? About the life you always imagined for us? What do you picture? I remained silent for a long moment. I see honesty, I finally replied. I see 2 people who completely trust one another. She did not say anything after that. On Monday, I took half a day off from work and drove to downtown Phoenix. I had a meeting with an attorney named Patricia Hoffman, who specialized in family law. She was in her 50s with gray hair and gentle eyes that seemed to have witnessed every kind of betrayal. I need to understand my options, I told her. She listened carefully as I outlined the situation, the pregnancy, the timeline, and the deceptions. Do you want to save your marriage? She asked. I want to know the truth first, I replied. She nodded, advising me to get a DNA test but to be discreet. Do not reveal your suspicions until you have concrete evidence. Regarding timing, if she is 6 weeks pregnant, DNA testing can be performed as early as 9 weeks through a simple, non-invasive blood test. She would never find out unless she specifically checked her medical records. I left her office with business cards and brochures, everything I needed to protect myself legally. Yet, first, I had to let Emily reveal her hand. That evening, she was strangely affectionate. She prepared my favorite meal, beef stew with cornbread. She inquired about my day and genuinely listened to the response. I love you, Charles, she said as we tidied the kitchen. I love you too, I answered honestly, which complicated everything. I still loved the woman I married, but perhaps the woman I loved was a falsehood from the start. 3 days later, Emily announced she would visit her sister Elena in Tucson that weekend because she was facing some difficulties in her marriage. Emily did not have a sister named Elena. She had one sister, Patricia, who lived in Sacramento, and had been happily married for 8 years. How long will you be gone? I asked. Just Saturday and Sunday, she replied. I will drive down Saturday morning and return Sunday evening. I nodded, pretending to believe her. Say hello to Elena for me. That Saturday, I followed her. I felt like a character from one of those detective shows Emily enjoyed watching, trailing 3 cars behind on Interstate 10, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap like some kind of amateur sleuth. Emily did not head all the way to Tucson. Instead, she drove about 20 minutes to a neighborhood in Tempe and parked outside a simple ranch-style house on Elm Street. A man stepped out to greet her, tall, fit, with dark hair. He kissed her in the driveway as if he had been waiting for her all day. I parked across the street and snapped pictures with my phone, capturing the license plate on his red pickup, the house number. The way Emily melted into his embrace made it clear she belonged there. Together, they entered the house. After waiting 2 hours, I drove back home. That evening, I looked up the address. The house belonged to a man named James Rodriguez, age 36, a contractor for Morrison Construction. Public records showed no wife or children. Emily returned Sunday evening with shopping bags from Tucson outlets and tales of Elena's marital problems. She is considering counseling, Emily said, as she unpacked a new scarf. I told her it could be helpful. Did you mention us to her? Our plans to begin a family? Emily paused briefly. No, the moment did not seem appropriate. On Monday morning, I called in sick to work and drove back to Tempe. I waited across from the Elm Street house until James Rodriguez left at 7:30 in the morning. Then I followed him. He stopped at a cafe on University Drive. I entered after him and ordered a coffee. There were 2 people behind him in line. He was speaking softly on the phone. I overheard pieces of the conversation. He told her husband she wanted to start trying. A couple more weeks until she could tell him. My coffee tasted terrible. I left it on the counter and walked out. The situation was becoming clearer. Emily and James had planned a timeline. She would delay telling me for a few more weeks and then reveal her pregnancy as a delightful surprise. By then, she would be far enough along that the dates would appear reasonable. I would be expected to celebrate and feel thrilled about becoming a father, to begin planning our future together. Meanwhile, I would be raising James Rodriguez's child without ever knowing the truth unless I intervened at once. That afternoon, I arranged appointments, first with a private investigator named Robert Kane, who specialized in cases of unfaithfulness, then with a DNA testing laboratory that provided discreet services. "How soon can you get the results?" I asked the lab technician. "Once we have the samples, 48 hours for standard paternity testing," was the answer. "You can do this without the mother finding out as long as you are the legal spouse and can provide samples from both yourself and the child." However, the child had not yet been born, and I needed proof before Emily announced anything. I was left with only one choice. It was a dangerous move, but the sole way to get ahead of her timeline. I planned to make Emily believe I suspected nothing, while secretly collecting enough proof to completely dismantle her story. The chance arrived the following Thursday. Emily had another late work meeting set. Now I knew this meant another trip to James Rodriguez. This time, I was fully prepared. I had spent the week making arrangements. Robert Caney, the private investigator, gave me a GPS tracker smaller than a quarter. I slipped it onto Emily's car while she was in the shower that morning. I also installed software on our shared laptop to monitor her internet use and opened a separate bank account solely in my name. When Emily left for her meeting, I gave her 10 minutes head start and then began tracking the GPS signal on my phone. She drove straight to the house on Elm Street. I parked 4 blocks away and returned on foot, keeping to the shadows. Through the front window, I saw them together on the couch, Emily's head resting on his shoulder, his hand lying on her stomach. They looked like a couple dreaming about their future, my future, the one being stolen from me. I snapped photos from different angles, clear and undeniable. There were clips of their faces with timestamps confirming when Emily was supposed to be at work. After that, I returned to my truck and called Robert Kane. I said, "I need you to conduct a thorough background check on James Rodriguez. Employment history, past relationships, financial records, everything." He asked, "How deep should I dig?" I replied, "Deep enough to understand exactly who I am dealing with." The next morning, Emily was unusually quiet during breakfast. She barely touched her toast and kept glancing at her phone. I asked, "Is everything all right?" She said, "I am fine, just tired. Maybe you should take a day off and get some rest." She suddenly looked at me with intensity. "Why do you say that? You have been working so hard recently with all those late meetings." "They matter for my career, Charles," she said. I replied, "I know, I am proud of you." The lie came easily now. I was learning to return her deception with my own. That afternoon, Robert Kane called with initial findings. He said, "Your wife's boyfriend has quite a record. 3 past relationships ended badly. 2 domestic disturbance reports at his address in the last 5 years. And currently, he is unemployed." Unemployed, but I had seen him leave for work. He had been laid off from Morrison Construction 6 weeks ago. There were outstanding child support payments to a former girlfriend in Flagstaff. He was behind on mortgage payments by 3 months. 6 weeks ago was about the time Emily became pregnant. I told Robert, "Send me every detail you have." That evening, Emily announced she was going to prepare dinner. "Reservations for Saturday evening. Somewhere special," she had said. "I have something important to share with you." Good news, I hoped. She gave me that practiced smile. Very good news. Saturday. That left me 2 full days to finalize my preparations. I spent Friday afternoon at the DNA testing laboratory, learning exactly what would be required. A hair sample from Emily would suffice to establish paternity once the baby arrived. But I needed something more immediate. The lab technician, a woman called Dr. Stevens, outlined my options. She said, "If your wife agrees to undergo a non-invasive prenatal paternity test, we can provide results within 72 hours. It only needs a simple blood draw and a cheek swab from the potential father." I asked, "What if she refuses?" She replied, "Then you wait until the child is born. However, considering your situation, I would suggest seeking legal counsel on managing the consequences of this revelation." I already had legal advice. Patricia Hoffman had made it clear what steps I needed to take to safeguard myself. On Saturday morning, I made one last call to Robert Kane. I said, I need a comprehensive dossier on James Rodriguez by tonight. Photos, work history, criminal records, everything. He answered, consider it done. Emily was completely unaware that her perfect scheme was about to unravel. On Saturday night, Emily chose Romano's for dinner, the same Italian restaurant where we had shared our first date 6 years ago. She wore a new blue dress and had her hair beautifully styled at the salon. She appeared both radiant and anxious, like a woman on the verge of transforming her existence. We ordered our usual meals, chicken parmesan for her and lasagna for me. Yet, she barely touched her plate. Charles, I have something amazing to share with you. What is it? She reached across the table and gently clasped my hand, her palm damp with sweat. We are expecting a baby. I stared at her, astonished, almost in disbelief. Are you serious? I took the test yesterday. We are pregnant, Charles. After so long trying, it finally happened. The falsehood was so smooth, so rehearsed. She had probably practiced this moment for weeks. Emily, this is unbelievable news. When did it happen? When are you due? The doctor believes I'm about 6 weeks along, so the baby should arrive in late spring. 6 weeks? Exactly as planned. I stood and kissed her forehead. This is the best news ever. We must celebrate. I have already ordered champagne, she said. Well, sparkling cider for me. The waiter brought our drinks. Emily lifted her glass with a bright smile. To our future, she said. To our future, I echoed. Then I slipped my hand into my jacket pocket and placed a manila envelope between us on the table. What is this? Emily asked. Open it. Her hands shook as she raised the flap. Inside were photographs. Emily and James Rodriguez kissing in his driveway. Emily and James Rodriguez seen through a window of his house. Emily's car parked outside his address on 3 separate occasions, along with several pictures of James Rodriguez himself. The employment record revealed that he had been dismissed. His criminal background investigation, his unpaid child support responsibilities, and at the bottom, a DNA testing consent form bearing my signature. Emily's face turned pale. The envelope fell from her hands. Photographs scattered all over the table. Charles, I can explain. Can you explain how you became pregnant during the 3 months we were not intimate? Can you explain why you have been lying about late work hours? Can you explain James Rodriguez? She tried to speak, but no words came out. I already know everything, Emily. The only question left is whether you want to resolve this quietly or make it difficult. Emily tried to run away. She reached the parking lot before breaking down emotionally. I found her sitting on the curb next to her car, crying into her hands. I never intended for this to happen, she said. Which part? The affair or getting caught? She looked up at me with tearful eyes. I thought I could make it work. I thought you would never find out. Did you think I was foolish? No, Charles. I thought I was cleverer. The divorce documents were filed the following Monday. Patricia Hoffman had everything prepared beforehand. Emily moved out that same week, taking only her personal items. James Rodriguez tried to reach out once, claiming Emily had told him we were already separated. I ended the call. The baby was born in May. Emily tried to hold on to... I had legal rights as the husband despite the DNA test results. The outcome confirmed what I already suspected. Charles Rodriguez was the father, not me. Emily and Charles stayed together for 8 months after the divorce was finalized. She found out he had been dishonest about his job prospects and was regularly seeing 2 other women. One evening, she called me, crying and saying she had made the biggest mistake of her life. I listened patiently, then ended the call. 6 months later, I sold the house on Maple Street and moved to a smaller apartment in Scottsdale. I continued working at Halbert Design, earned a promotion to floor manager, and started attending night classes at Phoenix Community College. Emily managed to find a job as a waitress in Tucson and struggled to get by. Charles Rodriguez vanished when the child support payments for his first child caught up with him. Emily was left to raise the baby alone, working double shifts and living in a tiny studio apartment. The roses she planted in our front yard withered and died the summer after she left, because I stopped watering them. Sometimes the only justice we receive is the truth, but that alone can be enough.